Askreddit thread. What should people be ashamed of for not knowing how to do? It never seems to occur to people to read the manual, or Google for that matter. That's because manuals are long. That's how Mark Cuban got his software business started. He'd just read the manuals and people thought he was brilliant. Mom, can you install this DVD player for me? It literally has two things to plug in and one is power. The other goes in the back of the TV and only fits in one place. Everyone in my family, besides my 20-year-old brother, thinks HDMI cables are some kind of black technology magic. I'm not even proactive enough to buy a cheap, long, reliable black HDMI. I'm literally just unplugging the cable box and plugging in my laptop. Ta-da! Having safe sex / knowing where babies come from. I've had this conversation more than once. Oh my god, I think I'm pregnant. How did this happen? Well, you're on birth control, right? No. Well, you used the condom, right? No. You didn't let him finish inside you, did you? I did. Well, what the fuck did you expect to happen? Oh, fucking stupid people. People think that accidental pregnancies are inevitable. Ask the Breaking Mom sub. It's only a matter of time and nothing to be ashamed of. No. That's not how this works at all. If you are not infertile and regularly having sex with other fertile people of the opposite sex without taking any reproductive precaution, it is only a matter of time, but I think it's a mischaracterization to refer to pregnancy as accidental. One of my friends recently got pregnant. She said, but we thought my boyfriend was infertile, and then went on to say that he only has a 15% chance of having kids. I'm sorry, but that's like using birth control because that's only 85% effective. Stop calling it a miracle baby. What? I would agree. If a condom broke and resulted in pregnancy, that's accidental. How about if she tripped and fell on an erupting penis? Exactly this, but some of the blame goes to crappy sex ed schools, in which in turn is the fault of Christian right from stopping it from being a thing. While I agree with you, I am even more flabbergasted that parents wouldn't explain it to their kids. Isn't it a common thing for a kid to ask where babies come from at some point in their life? I get that a lot of parents are embarrassed by these questions, but grow up. This is basic stuff your child needs to know. Some parents seem to believe that if you never personally explain to your kids how babies form, the kids will go through their lives magically unaware that sex exists until their wedding nights. These kinds of parents tend to become grandparents much earlier than they had hoped. It makes me sad that there's people actually like this in the world. Yeah, my sex ed was basically sex will kill you every time. Of course, we had a high pregnancy rate. Admit when you're wrong. I would, but I'm never wrong. I've only been wrong once in my life. I thought I was wrong about something, but it turns out I was right. Are you my girlfriend? I'm everyone's girlfriend. Why the fuck wasn't I invited to the party? This is one of those things that shows real personal growth. If you live in a developed country with access to basic knowledge without any mental disabilities and you don't know that the sun is a star, I'm judging you. A coworker of mine once asked me if Pluto was a star. Their justification for this was, I heard it wasn't a planet anymore. Well, if it's not a planet, then it must be a star. I get that logic. I'm so insulted. Why are people calling the sun a star? That is not right. It is a sun, you idiots. Learn some science. Some Facebook girl. Not accurate. There was a lot more mistakes in her comment and lengthier. The sun obviously isn't a star. Stars are only out at night, but the sun is out during the day. If the sun was out during the night, then it would be called a star. Then the moon is a star at night, and sometimes a dim sum during the day. Somebody say a dim sum? You should be ashamed of not knowing how to use a computer if you work at a job with a computer on your desk. I took a job years ago and had to train women that should have been fired / laid off / forcibly retired years earlier. She kept telling me she wasn't a computer person. Like people who could use a computer were the exception to the rule. And this whole computer thing was a fad. I trained her for a month. Then she went on vacation for 2 weeks. When she came back, I had to retrain her and start from scratch. Did I mention she didn't take notes? Ruth, I doubt you're reading this, but I hope you end up in a shitty nursing home. The I'm not a computer person thing should be enough of a reason to fire anyone. If I said I'm not a kid person while working at a daycare, would they keep me employed there? Yes, that's basically someone saying, I just don't want to learn to use the tools to do my job. Computers aren't even new anymore. I've been working professional for almost 20 years and I've been using a computer the whole time. Computers have existed in modern offices for 30 plus years. You learn to use your tools or you should be shown the door. I'm a construction worker, but I'm not really into hammers and nails. Well, I can't swim and I've always been super ashamed. Edit. I was hoping some of you would link to me the Shia LaBeouf video. I learned how to swim very early on in life because I drowned 2 times. Oh, I'm actually kind of lucky to be alive. I remember my very first, earliest memory is me drowning in the pool when I was 2 years old. Fun stuff. I've learned how to swim when I was really, really young because of that. I was too. Then I decided a few summers ago, I was 30 and it was high time. I learned. I had tried a few times growing up and just gave up. Spent a couple of weekends in a friend's pool and figured it out myself in the end. Once you figure out that you can actually float and treading water is super easy, the rest is just learning how to propel yourself. Just do it. Go to the shallow end and practice. Don't be intimidated by others. This is for you, not them. Once you get more confident, go a little deeper. Make sure you have a buddy with you who is a strong swimmer. Or go to a pool with a lifeguard and let them know that you're learning. For safety's sake, just floating around in deep water is one of the simple joys in life. Yes, lifeguard here. Don't be afraid to talk to us and tell me what's up. If you're not a good swimmer, let us know to keep a little better eye on you. Just keep the conversation short. We are working after all. Hey, I'm drowning, man. Cool, I gotta get back to work. Okay, no problem. Oh god, he transformed into a murloc. That's exactly what I was thinking. Basic hygiene. It's not that I hate you. You're even pretty interesting sometimes. I just can't stand to be around your stank ass for a long time. God, it's even worse when someone can't clean themselves and they go to work smelling awful. How in the fuck do you think that's an acceptable thing to do at work? Or an airplane? Can't even crack a window. For some people, it is just more than not cleaning themselves. It has to do with what they are eating or other environmental factors. There are some threads on CureZone about really bad body odor, where people claim to take a bath several times a day, apply a lot of deodorant, etc., and still smell like shit. I've noticed that when I was around 28, my BO took a huge increase in stankness, where deodorant would only work for half a day. Now, several years later, I noticed my left armpit stinks. Different from normal BO, and my right armpit doesn't smell at all. My odor was never really bad, but enough for me to notice it. Whereas some people have really bad BO. My friend has really overpowering BO when he sweats, and I think he has a autoimmune disease, which could be part of it. Common courtesy. Move out of the way on the sidewalk. Hold the door, say thank you, and excuse me. Amazing how many people lack it. Common courtesy. Not so common. The thing is, though, it is pretty common. It's just you only remember the bad people, because your brain is wired to remember negative encounters. If you just ran into a whole bunch of rude people all the time, that would be... Oh, that can happen, I guess. It's just... I used to work at a job that was very ridiculously busy with crap tons of people coming in all the time for 5 years. And, yeah, common courtesy it's a thing. But there are some rude people out there, too. How to remain quiet. I don't even necessarily mean to just be respectful of other people and not making a lot of noise. I don't not mean that either. I mean, some people just have to say something, especially in bad situations. Just shut the fuck up sometimes. There's a quote that goes something like this. Break the silence only when your words improve the situation. Or something like that. Meh. Wash their own clothes. I work with appliances, and the amount of people who don't know how is amazing. I'm mainly talking about grown kids who go to mom's house on the weekend and have mommy do it for them. It's simple, people. Oh my god, what if parents don't teach their kids to do laundry because they know the only way to get their kids to visit is to do laundry for them? It's probably why a lot of parents are incapable of fixing their computers. My grandma does this. Gets the grandkids over because of a simple email question or to change some light bulbs that are high up, and we end up staying for 4 hours because she gives us food and drinks. No complaints, though. I know that my mom does this because she's been using a computer since you had to use DOS to run them. I called her out not knowing how to find the solution once, and her response was, "That's what I have you for." Meet my ex. He traveled over 2 hours round trip every weekend to have his mother do his laundry. He couldn't cook because his mother had always cooked for him. He had no social skills because he had only really socialized with his family. He was 37. This might be an entirely different level on the spectrum. What originally attracted you to this person? That's what I was thinking too. It was, at first, a long-distance relationship. Like, very long distance. He was very good with words, and I wasn't aware of the weekly visits to his parents' house. I visited him in his home country, where I live now, for 2 weeks one summer, and he was perfectly lovely. Apparently, he can be decent for short amounts of times. But then I left my home country for his, permanently. My mom had warned me against it. She had seen or had hunches about red flags, but I didn't listen. I had a job lined up, fortunately. He and I split soon after I moved there. I found out so much more about him after I arrived. He didn't want a girlfriend, he wanted a mother. Someone to do his laundry, cook, and clean for him, basically just to take care of him. Living in a foreign country is great. Moving for someone you don't know is the stupidest fucking thing you could ever do. Understanding the difference between clickbait and real journalism. I fear those who grew up with clickbait may not know the difference. 3 people dead over man storm residence with a gun versus man enters house with gun. You'll never believe what happens next. Seeing clickbait 24/7 was one of the biggest reasons why I deleted my Facebook account. I got tired of seeing people I know fall for obviously fake stories on non-credible websites. However, the craziest thing is that in school, we learned how to recognize a credible source. But the people who fall for clickbait were too lazy to pay attention to this lesson. For me, it's not even the fake stories, it's the incredibly underwhelming ones. Man finds dog on the side of the highway. You won't believe what happens next. He adopts the dog. That's it. Basic usage of a computer. If I had to work as a carpenter and can't use a hammer, I'd be fired. If I worked as a lumberjack and I can't use a chainsaw, I'd be fired. Someone else already mentioned that a little bit earlier. Be self-aware. You should know where people are around you and be courteous. There's no excuse for randomly stopping and standing in the middle of a walkway, blocking someone's view of a concert with your iPad, disturbing people on public transportation by making a phone call on speakerphone, etc. I had to take the bus quite a bit to classes last semester, and surprisingly everyone was very decent and courteous. Like all, 10 or 20 times I took the bus. I kept expecting someone to do all these things I heard on the internet about people talking on their speakerphone or playing music really loud, taking up the entire aisle at the grocery store. I see that all the time. This is why I go to the grocery store, only when there's no one there. But the bus thing, I guess I just got it wasn't too bad. People ought to know how to effectively Google things. When something breaks, I should also say I used to take the bus a crap ton when I was little too, because we grew up poor as shit, and it was never really a big deal. I think it just kind of falls under the thing that people only remember, inconsiderate things, or he's just a really unlucky person, or I've just been really lucky, which is definitely not the case for me, because... Anyways, people ought to know how to effectively Google things. When something breaks or doesn't work right, just Google your problem, being as specific as possible and see what it says. I'm not a tech guru, but I am capable of reading the first 3 links on Google, picking one that sounds right and following step-by-step instructions. Please stop acting so ignorant around the internet. It's not even just old people. This one works quite a bit. That's how I pretty much solve all my problems, is by just Google it. But it doesn't work for everything. But it works for like 95% of things. It's not even just old people. I had a friend of mine who gave me his old desktop 2 or 3 years ago. His wife said, "Let me delete some stuff first, then you can come and pick it up." When I got home, I found all the stuff in the unemptied recycle bin. This was from the 2 university-educated Canadians in their mid-30s in 2012. And that's how people get their IDs stolen. Oh, I'm quite sure they had all the passwords still saved in their browsers. Luckily for them, it was me, a friend. Yeah, a friend. This account was theirs first. I'm the tech guy in my immediate and extended family. I just want to tell them all, I'm not the tech guy. I'm just the not too fucking lazy to use Google and apply common sense guy. Your point is very, very, very well taken. Ooh, I'm glad I'm not the tech guy. I always make it a point to say I don't know much about computers, or I know just as much about computers as you do. If I have a problem, I Google it. Also, I'm just not willing to do work for other people for free. Yeah, all you need to do is update Flash and install Google Ultron, or uninstall Google Ultron when it does your job for you. I am sorry, Dave, but I cannot delete Google Ultron. Oh well, goes back to Bitcoin mining and playing games. Adobe Reader. Oh, that's Adobe Reader can't save you now. This is possibly the funniest internet story I've ever read. Yep, anybody have a link? I'd love to read that again. Okay, so the Adobe Reader story is very, very long. But the gist of it is a guy gets hired for a tech company. Oh, I can just read like the first couple pages of it, and that's basically the gist of it. I got hired by my dad to do IT. I know very little about IT besides games. These are my IT stories. First day. Woman asked me if I can install the latest version of Adobe Reader. Fuck yeah, I got this. Download like a boss. Wow, you're like a computer expert. Well, you know. Asked to input admin credentials. Forget admin credentials. Try admin password. Nope. .jpeg. Oh crap. Something's going on with the server. Be right back. 3 months later, she still doesn't have Adobe Reader. Day 2. Angry guys on the phone ask me about some weird in-house program. I have no idea what the fuck he's saying. There's a pause. He's waiting for an answer. Think back to the IT crowd. Have you tried turning it on and off again? Like restarting? Give me a sec. It fucking worked. Day 3. Hot sales rep comes with laptop issues. She's 9 out of 10 cougar. All flirty with me. Tells me she needs something updated. Can only hear her boobs. Her laptop smells like strawberries. Download Adobe Reader for her and hand it back. And basically he solves all of his problems by downloading Adobe Reader. It's a funny thread. Some of them are just lazy. My mom bought a Surface recently. She refuses to learn anything of it, believing that she is old. She is entitled to not have to learn anything anymore. It's ridiculous. Most of them are lazy. You have the internet, you can learn how to practically do anything, but most people say, I don't know, and can't be bothered taking the next step. How to say thank you when someone helps you. Covering their face when they cough or sneeze. There is no need for you to get others around you sick. Oh my god. I mean, I do this, but there was this one time when I was at work, and I was walking through like these little doors that push open. If you think of like an old western movie, you know how sometimes a cowboy will kick those 2 wooden doors that aren't really doors, they're more like gates, open to walk into a bar. We had stuff like that in the little hallway to the freezer in the kitchen of the old place I used to work at. And one day, I was at work sick because I used to get sick all the time, and they don't let you stay home if you're sick. And I used to just get sick all the time, so I would have to miss a ton of days of work if I just, stayed home every time I had a sniffle. So I was going in sick. I think I was either getting better from the cold, or I was just, I don't know, I was sick all the time. I was probably in the middle of a sickness, and I was just hopped up on drugs like I always was. When I say drugs, I mean like cough medicine and shit. Just gotta take a whole bunch of those and you'll feel fine and dandy. You'll just have a runny nose. So I needed to sneeze anyway. And I walk into this thing, I open up the doors as the sneeze comes out. And I was like, there's no one over here. I'm just gonna sneeze. And this girl I was working with comes in and I sneeze right in her face. And I still feel so bad about that because she was a really cool girl. She was like, it's fine. And she went back to work because we were busy. And I still feel so bad about that because she was such a cool coworker. I wonder what happened to her. I know she stopped working there after a while because that was a minimum wage job that you only really take when you're in high school or college or something. I still feel really bad about that though. Turn signals. They are used to indicate to other drivers what you're doing, so everyone driving their ton or more of metal can safely get to their destination at any speed. If you're turning, you need to use your turn signal. I see a lot of people complain about turn signals, but I have never run into this problem. Probably because I live in a place with a lot of people. Maybe it's a problem in more rural areas or something. I don't know. If you're changing lanes, you need to use it too. Because I used to drive a crap ton. Because I lived my senior year of high school. It was like a 40-minute drive to school every day. So there and back, it was like, I don't know, an hour and a half on the road. And I had to take the freeway too. And I used to have to go to work too, which was like 40 minutes away. Because it was like really close to my school. And I went there for 5 years while living over here really far away from it. So I drove a lot. I've never really seen this as a big deal. People not using turn signals. Most people, I'd say like 99% of people use their turn signals. Basic household chores. My partner is brilliant in school and very well read, but he doesn't know how to scrub a toilet, sort laundry, or properly wash a dish. And then it's really frustrating for him when I have to teach him how to wash a dish when there's gross dried food bits on it. Gross. Read a clock. Seriously? WTF. Don't get me wrong, boys. I can easily read a digital, but come on, learn how to read a clock. I can understand if you have some sort of disability, but learn. It's easy, and sometimes you have to use an analog clock. I remember it took me way longer than it should have to learn how to read a clock. Might have been because I was dyslexic or something, but it just took me a lot longer than other people. Which was kind of weird now that I think about it. I picked up everything else just as well as everyone else, but reading a clock, that was something I couldn't do very well. I wonder why that was. How to listen to someone. Sit quietly. It shocks me the amount of people who can't deal with silence. Not an awkward silence where someone has made an ass of themselves, but just nice, normal silence. Some people just have to talk all the damn time, even when there's nothing to say. Shut up. Or when it's silent and someone comments on how awkward it is, even though it's perfectly normal. That sounds like my friend. In that case, I always mention it wouldn't have been awkward at all if you hadn't mentioned that. That's what I say whenever she does that. The thing is, I love it. When I'm with someone that I don't care for, I usually just don't talk to them. Because making small talk is effort. It's very necessary to get to know someone, to get someone to like you, or just to be a social person. But if you're with someone who you don't really care for, like, I don't know, someone you don't really care about, and you have to be in a car with them for a while, and I just don't make the effort to talk because it's an effort that I'd rather not make, and I have no problem just sitting in silence. But if you're someone that I need something from, or someone that I care about in the slightest bit, then yes, we will talk. Chewing with their mouth shut. The most disgusting thing when eating dinner with someone is seeing their food just before it slides down their disgusting gullet. Every adult should know how to cook proper food for themselves without relying on other people, even if it's just the basic. People should not be having takeaways or instant noodles every night. Literally knowing basic rules of the road. No, it's not okay to swing out in the left lane to go 1 mile faster than the person you're passing. Also, if you're going to do that, wait for the cars on the left to pass. How to tell the difference between there, and there. Nothing. I'm pretty sure I can find valid exceptions for almost any basic tax. What would you be ashamed of is pride in not knowing something. Nothing makes me more annoyed than people who seem proud of their ignorance, that it somehow makes them a real man with important concerns because they've never bothered to learn how to use a computer, for example. Oh yeah, it seems like a lot of people have a thing against people who pride themselves on not being a computer person. Which is totally, reasonable. I see too much of is someone harassing or demeaning someone else because the other person can do something or has a skill set that the person lacks. You know how to cook, sew, and have a vocabulary more advanced than middle school? You fucking loser. It's sad, but telling. People find it weird that I cook, can sew well to patch things up, drink tea, love sci-fi books and movies, use Reddit, yet am a prior Marine, avid weightlifter, like to build shit, and can generally fix my own car. It's like they think it's a crime to be a jack of all trades. Funny thing, I can cook, no problem, just because we grew up really poor and I learned how to cook for myself because my mom was also a drug addict. I learned how to cook eggs in the microwave when I was 7 or something. Wasn't half bad back then, but those are so gross today. And sewing, my mom signed me up for a home ec class when I was in 7th grade, and I was the best sewer in the class. I was a machine with that sewing machine. It was great. Really made me popular with all those ladies in the class. Home ec class. It was There was 5 guys in the entire class. And I was pretty good friends with all the girls in my group, too. If the only crime is that you're hogging your time freezing device, please share it with the rest of us. Drink tea, love sci-fi books, movies, use Reddit. Wow. I want to learn how to juggle. Turning off the water in your toilet is about to overflow. Okay, then, how do I do this? Huh. People should be ashamed of not knowing how to distinguish science from pseudoscience. I just reminded me of a friend who fell for a pyramid scheme. Doing laundry. When I first go to college, I had to teach so many people how to do a load of laundry. It's so simple. It is pretty simple. You just put the clothes in, set the thing, and then... No, wait. You turn on the machine first, set it to whatever you're going to do, and then put in the soap, and then you put in your clothes afterwards. And then you let it wash your clothes. Use your and your correctly. Basic cooking, basic math. I'm not talking algebra or calculus. I'm talking addition and subtraction. If the bill is $9.76 and I gave you a $10 bill and a penny, I'd expect to get a quarter back, not a bewildered expression. When in complete sentences, I used to work as a cashier, but all of our prices were basically identical, so never really applied to me. Being able to make a video full screen and move the cursor out of the way. What a fine example. When the mouse cursor doesn't disappear while watching a movie, how it feels. Oh, yeah, I get it. Upvoting because you were tied with CPR comment. Shameful. Confused story. The comment before you was about learning CPR. Both comments at 64 upvotes at the time. Really? Nothing. There is no shame for not knowing something, only shame in refusing to learn. Oh, wow, this was a pretty long one. Almost 27 minutes.